Sometimes God speaks in whispers, not because He's hiding, but because He wants us to lean in and trust Him. But what happens when we keep asking for confirmation, even after He's already shown us the truth? What if the red flags you are seeing are actually answers? If you've ever been in a relationship, a friendship, or a situation where God tried to reveal the truth but you hesitated, this video is for you. God whispers, not in thunder or earthquake, but in that still small voice deep within. Is gentle, subtle, often easy to overlook. Yet within that whisper lies all the direction you need. The problem is, we often want more. We want a flashing light, a loud voice, a dramatic revelation. But faith doesn't always come dressed in fireworks. Sometimes it arrives like a soft nudge in your spirit, a quiet knowing in your gut. That's all God needs to speak, just once, and it's up to us to obey. But instead of obeying, we begin to beg for confirmation after confirmation. God, are you sure? Was that really you? Could you show me more? And while we wait, we pray and hesitate, we overlook the fact that the whisper was already enough. God in His kindness does not withhold clarity. What we often lack is not His voice, but our willingness to move at the sound of it. Obedience isn't about certainty, it's about trust. And when you act on that quiet whisper, you unlock doors that hesitation would have kept shut. It's especially hard when it comes to people. You thought they were your friends, the ones who had your back. But then, little by little, they started to show their true colors, not with loud betrayal, but with subtle dismissals, quiet envy, or actions that spoke louder than any apology. And you saw it, your spirit stirred. God allowed them to expose themselves, but instead of accepting what was shown, you told yourself you were being too sensitive, that maybe you were just imagining things. You tried to love them harder, be nicer, prove yourself, but the whisper had already spoken. And then there's the relationship. You noticed the red flags, the patterns, the pain, the subtle manipulation, or the outright disregard for your worth. You felt it in your heart. You sensed God nudging you away, but you stayed. You told yourself everyone has flaws. You blamed yourself for their behavior. You prayed not for strength to walk away, but for a confirmation to stay. For God to fix what He never intended for you to carry. But the truth is, the exposure was the answer. The discomfort, the unrest in your spirit, that was your confirmation. Sometimes we confuse loyalty with obedience. We cling to what's familiar even when it hurts, even when God is clearly removing it. We say we are waiting on God, but really He is waiting on us, waiting for us to trust what is already shown, to stop praying for a new word, when we haven't acted on the last one. To believe that his whisper, that soft divine nudge, is more trustworthy than any outside voice. Every delay in our obedience delays the blessings attached to our courage. God is not in the business of confusing his children. He's not trying to make you guess. He shows you and then waits for your faith to step forward. He doesn't make the choice easy. Walking away from people, relationships, or dreams always comes with grief. But peace often follows pain. And the doors you are praying for God to open next, they are waiting on your obedience to the whisper. That quiet act of faith, that moment when you say, God, I trust you more than I trust my own understanding. So listen again. Go back to that first whisper. What did God already show you? What did you feel in your spirit before fear, guilt, or doubt tried to explain it away? Return to that moment, and this time move. You don't need a committee of confirmations. You need courage. One whisper is enough, because the one who whispered is faithful. Let's talk about someone in the Bible who did exactly this. Someone who heard the whisper of God, saw the signs, but still kept pushing, still kept asking, until it led to painful consequences. That person is King Saul. Saul was chosen by God to be the first king of Israel. He started off humble, unsure of himself, but with potential. Along the way, Saul began to care more about the opinions of people than the whispers of God. One day, God gave him a very clear instruction through the prophet Samuel. Wait for Samuel to arrive and offer the sacrifice before going into battle. The instruction was simple, clear, a whisper that required obedience. But Saul grew restless. The people were getting nervous. The army was scattering. Fear and pressure started talking louder than God's whisper. And so Saul disobeyed. He offered the sacrifice himself, even though he knew it wasn't his place. Just moments after, Samuel arrived. Saul tried to explain himself, tried to justify it, saying he needed to act. He was scared, and he thought maybe it would still be okay. But Samuel told him the hard truth. You have not kept the command the Lord your God gave you. Now your kingdom will not endure. Saul lost something sacred that day. His role, his favor, his destiny. Why? Because he did not trust the whisper. He saw the signs. He felt the stirring. But instead of staying still in obedience, he took things into his own hands. And just like that, what could have been a beautiful story of victory became a story of loss. Saul kept praying, kept fighting, kept trying to make it work, but the favor had already lifted because obedience had left the room. This is the danger of ignoring that gentle nudge in your heart. Like Saul, we sometimes feel rushed by circumstances, pressured by people, or scared of missing out. And so we move without peace. We override what God already showed us. We convince ourselves that maybe if we just keep praying, God will give us a different answer, one that matches what we want to hear. But prayer without obedience turns into delay, and delay often turns into disobedience. God's whisper is not always comfortable, but it's always right. It may tell you to let go of someone you love. It may show you that a friend's heart isn't pure. It may reveal that the door you are praying to stay open is already being gently closed by His hand. When that happens, don't be like Saul. Don't ask again and again, hoping for a different answer. Don't sacrifice what's sacred just to feel safe. Trust that one whisper. Trust that God sees what you can't. The beauty is, even if you've missed it before, even if you've been like Saul, hesitating, pushing, delaying, God is still merciful. His grace gives us another chance. You can still obey today. You can still choose trust today. You can still say, God, I heard you the first time. I'm sorry I did not move, but I will now. That kind of surrender touches His heart. That kind of obedience opens doors no man can shut. So stop waiting for another sign. You've seen enough. You've heard enough. That whisper, it was enough. Now, with courage in your heart and trust in your steps, move. Listen. That quiet nudge in your heart is not random. It's not doubt. It's God. And He's waiting on your obedience, not your delay. You don't need another sign. You need courage. One whisper is enough. Trust it, walk in it, and watch what God will do next. If this video spoke to you, don't forget to like, comment, and share it with someone who needs to hear this today. Your next door is waiting on your yes. Thank you for watching, and may God bless you.